Since I'm not going to be trading with players or interacting with them, I'm going to be trying to play the game as if I was alone. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to my Iron Man series. The series where we do PvM, PvP, we craft, we gather, all to work towards an 8.3 set without ever using the auction house. With a lot of discoveries made, and a lot of lives lost, this is how the story continues. If you didn't watch the last episode, here's what you missed. Awesome, dude. And that allowed us to craft the Hellion Jacket, which basically gave us a life leech ore that allows us to increase our sustain and our DPS at the same time, and it does it over a short period. So let's say, for example, you use the stab, and if you... Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 4th episode of my Iron Man series. We have a few things to talk about, so let's go ahead and just jump right into it. On my last couple episodes, I've been seeing you guys mention things about the black market. Some of you said that I should do it, and some of you said that I shouldn't use it. And the thing is, it's not exactly player run, and if you don't know how the black market works, I'm going to very briefly explain it in this video, and it's only going to take me roughly 30 seconds, so let's get to it. So basically how it works is you have the player that just goes stab stab, and the monster dies, right? And it drops a set amount of silver coins. And let's say for killing the monster, the player would get plus 30 silver, but that's not exactly accurate. Instead of getting plus 30 silver, the game decides to say, hey, no, we're not going to give you 30 silver, we're only going to give you 25 silver, right? And so instead, the 5 silver goes to the black market guy instead. And the black market guy goes, I want stuff. And then he makes market offers to buy things from the players, or let's say it's like it's a bag that costs 40,000 silver. Or 400 silver, that's how much he's willing to pay for the item. And he uses the gold from the monsters to pay for these items. And then whenever he gets the bag, he gives it to the monster, and then the monster drops it for the player. And then the player can sell it back and repeat. I understand that was a very rudimentary explanation as to what it was, but most players that are watching this video probably know how it works, but if you don't, now you do, at least briefly. I made another video on it, so I don't want to talk about it too much more. But as we can see here, mostly the player doesn't exactly interact directly with the other players. It's very indirect, and so I think it suits this series at least decently well enough for us to do this. And even though running through red zone is a lot safer than running through, say, black zone, as you can see how many hostiles there are, there is still a little bit of risk factor that goes into doing this, and so there is a little bit of a risk for my reward. And so I don't really think that there's a really big problem with this. If you think there is, let me know in the comments and we can discuss it there. But other than that, we made a shit ton of money from this, and I do mean a lot of money. And this is going to help us so much in our goal. And now it gives us a reason to actually use the gear. Somebody recommended that I could scrap it, but in all honesty, scrapping gear just really doesn't give anything. And although the resources are useful, and I've done it before to craft something that I didn't have the processing ability to get, it definitely just seems like a waste of gear. But using the black market also brings up a couple of things that we could do to actually make money other than doing dungeons. We actually can use materials that we gathered to push ourselves in higher crafting spec, which will also allow us to sell stuff to the black market, making runs a little bit more efficient, and also we'll have more items to actually take to make more money. This at least gives us another option, which is just something that we really kind of needed. Also, because I read and respond to basically every single comment, I did end up getting the 300 siphon energy that I got for leveling up my guild in the guild challenge, and I ended up using it to make relics in order to get us a very good item. So pretty much anything here, except for the preserved log and most of this stuff is useful. I might use a Baden someday, but a lot of this stuff is just meh. Let's see if we get it on our first try though. Okay, we got the Spectre Helm, that's not great. We got the Rampant Staff that I don't want. Alright, there we go. 3 tries, it's not that bad. Alright, we rolled a 3 and 9, so 1 and 3, not terrible. Thank God, because I didn't have any more, but yeah, there we go. Now we can go ahead and make ourselves the Spectre Jacket, which is going to increase our DPS by just way too much. I've been told to use the Great Axe several times, saying that it's better at clearing dungeons than the Bloodletter, and you're 100% correct, whoever is saying that. The Bloodletter isn't as good at clearing dungeons, but the thing is, I don't really like having my entire DPS ability relying on one thing. Using your E does an insane amount of damage over a channeled time. The cooldown's actually decently low, however, just the fact that this is my entire DPS in this kit just kind of bothers me, especially in a PvP scenario where this can be easily cancelled. And so I'm going to be keeping the Bloodletter and now replacing it with the Spectre Jacket. The Spectre Jacket basically allows me to trade my HP for roughly 180 DPS to any monsters that I'm fighting, in a giant AoE that actually lasts longer than the Great Axe by a considerable margin. This lets me trade off the DPS for health, which is good, because a lot of the times if I'm clearing dungeons in Yellow Zone, I don't actually need to sit at high HP. So I can get basically the additional bonus of doing a ton of extra damage without having to sacrifice a weapon slot and my single target DPS. And something to note, even though you do take 100 damage per second while wearing this, if you have a fish active which increases your healing by at least 150%, you can actually out-heal the damage that it deals to you when you're out of combat, because reduced healing received does not affect HP regen outside of combat. Basically right now in the background, you're going to be seeing a DPS check time based on using the Spectre Jacket and not using the Spectre Jacket with the Bloodletter. Obviously it adds a ton of DPS to the Bloodletter, but it's more so about just in general. If I was using the Great Axe, this would also apply to using the Great Axe, so it would just be an additional onto that. The main problem that I have with the Great Axe is it leaves a bad taste in my mouth whenever I die to a boss X number of times, just because I don't have the DPS to finish it off, nor the sustain. A lot of that has to do with the fact that I don't really have any Great Axe spec, and I understand that. But right now, at this point in the game, I really would just prefer to use daggers right now, especially with the dev update that they gave us that basically said they're going to be splitting artifact daggers and stuff like that all into their own individual categories. So instead of just leveling up artifact daggers, you're going to have all 3 individual different types of artifacts. So it's going to be pretty useful for us to be able to level them up individually, mostly because it'll give us an opportunity to level it up faster. And since I only really plan on using the Bloodletter and the daggers artifact tree, this will actually help us a lot. And I know some of you guys will probably think about my setup and be like, wow, this guy really has no idea what he's talking about. And you're probably right. But one of the things is I usually look at these kind of games, I don't look at maximum efficiency, I look at maximum enjoyment, and I just really, really enjoy these items, and that's just how I am. Unfortunately, I don't really care so much about maximum efficiency. As long as I'm actually enjoying the dungeon clear, I can actually do the dungeon clear longer, so in my end, it's actually more efficient for me to enjoy what I'm doing rather than be most efficient at it. I also got mentioned to in the comments that some of you guys might want to see more meat and potatoes to the video, and by that I mean some of the random stuff that just I experience, or some of the random stuff that goes into the gameplay of this game that you guys might not normally see, because I usually just try to show more progress than anything. So here is a ranting clip, and honestly it was deserved, so don't worry. I've literally been in queue for 6.5 minutes at this point, and I haven't gotten a single actual queue to pop up, and this is my first game of the day. As much as I would love to just play healer all the time, first off, that gets boring, and secondly, people don't like when I play healer. So obviously, doing arena just really is not worth my time. Assuming that I would have to play on an average 50% win rate of 6 games, which is 50% is probably reasonable, even though I think my win rate's a little bit potentially higher than that, maybe? It's basically 50%. So if I have a 50% win rate, I would have to play through 6 games, which means I would have to be sitting in queue for at least 40 minutes, and that's just a waste. That's almost a whole hour of fame that I'm losing, and that's also assuming the time to play the games. It's almost 2 hours of arena, and I am not going to sit here and do this for 2 hours. So that's why I've stopped doing arena, and honestly at this point I don't think I'm ever going to start doing it again. Playing healer is great and everything, but I don't really have great healing gear, and everyone just complains all the time, even though I do rather well, but you know, whatever. Anyway, fuck arena, I'm not doing this. And just so you guys know, yes, I am actually looking for PvP. I'm not just sitting in the red zone all the time, or the yellow zone. I am looking for PvP. I've been to the red zone. I did 7 dungeons in the black zone this video, so I'm getting more out there the more comfortable I get. The more bored I get of doing yellow zone, the more I'll do black zone, and we're getting there. So I actually did a really, really good full trip and got a decent amount of stuff and got out just fine. Nobody's in tier 5 black zone, I swear to God. So honestly, I'll be doing that a lot more just to kind of speed up my process, because really it's going to take a long time to get this done. So I want to try to get it done faster, and this will just really help us doing that. I did also go intentionally looking for dives at one point, but of course, because the zone is so dead, I didn't find a damn thing. So we did a lot of black zone, at least for me anyway. We're going to be seeing a ton more of it, I think, coming up soon, and I hope that you guys are looking forward to that, because I kind of am, you know, just a little bit. So now we can go ahead and withdraw all of the stuff that we have from our thing, putting us at 1.07 mil. Take this to 1.1 mil. I think I'm going to be like 1,000 silver off. Oof, 500 silver. And now all we have to do is withdraw the silver that we have in the guild bank. We are officially at 1.5 million silver. We're making really good progress. We still have a long way to go at 8.6 million silver. However, having 1.5 million on its own, that is amazing. We've done a fantastic job thus far of getting ourselves a silver, and the black market has helped us tremendously. Of course, we have done quite a few dungeons, and we have put a lot of our time and effort into preparing for doing higher tier black zone dungeons. We've done a pretty good job so far of getting our account to where we can be out consistently risking more, but still being able to rebuild if push comes to shove. It's going really well, and there's a lot of work to do, but right now, I think is the part where I can confidently say that this is going to be an achievable goal, and it's honestly just the first step. This is the first step of the account, and honestly, there is a few things that I would like to do prior to getting premium, but this is honestly one of the biggest things. Getting premium will just open so many doors for us, giving us 50% more fame, giving us learning points. Gathering will be so much easier because we'll be able to use the learning points. We only get 10 daily right now, but we could be getting up to 30, which is just absolutely amazing. We get access to our own island, which will allow us to make our own mounts, which means that we will be able to actually go out constantly and not really be super worried about losing our mounts. And this mule's been with me for a very long time. And, you know, honestly, I'm not like physically attached or emotionally attached to this mule or anything like that. But like, you know, you just got to think about it. Like, we've had this mule for a long time now. And honestly, I'm going to try to keep it as long as I can. Although I do take it into black and red zone constantly, it is definitely something that maybe if we can keep it throughout the duration of the series, maybe it'll be an icon, who knows. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, consider subscribing if you made it to the end. Leave a comment down in the comments section about a couple of the things that you thought about in this video, whether they're good or bad, doesn't matter. And I'll catch you guys in the next one, and hopefully I'll have over 4 million silver by then.